Peace, family. Everybody in the building. Put some ones up if you hear me okay. Just make sure there's no borging if the sound sounds good. I'm just going to let some people come in real quick. We'll try to keep this one within the hour. All right. And the theme of this stream is simple. Don Lemon, who's crying now? So just wait for a couple other people in coming in the building. Those in the cloud, peace. And yeah, anyone else who's coming into the building. I just got a few short things to say. So a couple of big things happened this week and today, and yeah, we're gonna talk about it. Let's just allow some people to come in real quick. Peace, Jay, by the way. Anyway, let's go ahead and get it started. But yeah, we're going to deal with Dusty Don today. The real Dusty Don, in my opinion. All right. Let's go.
To my brain. It's like this. When you sleepy, I wonder why. It must be the high grade in your eyes. You look like you're about to fight. High grade. I don't care what popular say. We're gonna burn it anyway. Black blood alone smoke a whole party. I'm this high grade. So me say ganja smoke every day. 15, 16 spliff a day. Good purple skunk from me, as you say. Move out of my way, me make me weed entry. Hold on, weed a bun more than a century. Go on farm a man, just go on farm, eh? And go on ganja man, just go on plant, eh? Cause every time you do that, you do it for me. When you look sleepy, I wonder why. It must be the high grade in your eye. When you look like you're about to fight. Just got some smoking and take off your wings, youth man, and fly like a bird high in the sky, and let them know that you are conquering lion, coming from the tribe of Judah. Some backbiters don't have no roots and culture. Leave them alone, them are go burn in a fire. Fire. I wrote a letter to that year. I seen it to die like a night. I wrote a letter to that year. I seen it to die like a night. If it wasn't for my foolish pride, baby, you'd be right by my side. And still I just can't deny that it should have been love. Alright. But I never promised you no roses. Valentine's chant
it's another to go cozy. Me don't hear about the talk, say you the little things you done. I know I recognize it, but I never meant to break your heart. The heart broken at the process. I wish I never was so smart. The time has come to pass. Every moment I remember now I share right. Baby, I've been hurting inside ever since you walked out my life. Still I just can't hide that this should have been love. Alright, if it wasn't for my foolish pride, baby, you'd be right by my side. And still I just can't deny that it should have been, could have been love. Alright, could it have been the car when me drive? Or could it have been the herb in no life? I threw me there, I threw the late at night. Makes you feel some me, I keep another life. Still should never stay, because I stay with it. I think I'll be emergency, because I stay with it. I stay, my father represent misery. Sirens from the street, shot seas. Police and Philip and the CIA. Sirens from the street, shot seas. Sirens from the street, shot seas. Police and Philip and the CIA. Sirens from the street, shot seas. Just like mama cooking pot, TNT get hot. Sophisticated weapons get away from them black. Beat them like a shot, giant and lick it back. Trade union workers, government, them attack. That cause a state of emergency. Because a state, because a state of emergency. Because it's nigga I stay with my love in a DMC. Simon finally got television and religion are the tools of Babylon implement. Corrupt things that are children, they are the reason we want Babylon from season to season. Hey, they want to come for them and come make we chant him down with great power and sound. Your children, they are the reason we want Babylon from season to season. Hey, they want to come for them and come make we chant him down with great power and sound. I'm keeping it real. So we are live, we live and let's live. So we are live, I'm keeping it real. Yeah. So we are live, we live and it's big. As a man, you must be able to find work and put food on the table. There's no time to sit around to play the fool or be a clown. In the game there's no player haters, real hustlers and gold diggers. But I have no time to watch no face. Them kind of people don't have no place. it. You have a plan, you got to reach it. You work hard, you must get paid to live good for another day. Ease up, no bother with the tension, no bother with the stress. I said to ease up, we are dealing with progress. Peace and love and happiness. I said to ease up, we don't need no commotion, cause everything is darkness. I said to ease up, no bother try to pressure me, and that is where I rest. Cause I remember when me had a yammy, me used to run dance club and party. And outside of this club, them treat them hostility. Them can't bring that on we. Rubber dubber where we play a pan and us still down. The DJ round the mic and him a keep the place strong. Now father come here so like you are raging star. You can't bring that on we. Me say to ease up, no bother with the tension. I say no bother with the stress. I say to ease up, we are dealing with progress. I say love and happiness. I say to ease up, we no need no commotion, cause everything is God bless. I say to ease up, no bother try to question me, that is where I'm at.
I know the time is getting late, like balance in the rain. I strive to get my children fed, meanwhile my shoes are begging rain. Yes, I know them times are hard.
What's up, y'all? What's up? What's up? Just put some ones up if the sound is coming through clearly, loud. All right. Hold on. Sound is coming through clearly, loud. Still kind of muffled, but you know, I'm speaking into the microphone, so as long as I'm not borging or I'm not skipping or it's not really struggle streaming, all I want you to do is put the ones up in the air. All right. Okay. Piece of J, piece of P Wales. You know what I'm saying? We are going to talk. Whoops. We are going to talk about two individuals. Well, really one individual tonight, because I know there was big news in politics. I wouldn't say politics, but these two men are part of politics, obviously. But I wanted to focus on one in particular, because you see, excuse me, let me just go back here for a second. You see, I was going to do this story. I didn't, shoot. Hold up a second. Hold on 1 second, fam. 1 second. I just want to bring up the GIF. Not GIF, but you know, the thumbnail or the thumbnail that I was going to put down. Basically, guys, as you know, weeks ago, this happened. And we're going to touch a little bit into that, and I'm going to try to make this brief. But as you know, this guy who made this cartoon that I never really followed myself, but, you know, he started saying some racist shit. You know, this liberal guy who basically thought he can just say racist shit and get away with it. And what made it interesting is that he quoted Dusty Don here. And we're going to go through some of those quotes real quick. But yeah, that's what it was going to be. But sometimes when you're a content creator, it's whether either, you know, you get caught up or you just get lazy, all right? Or you procrastinate. You just, you know, don't put the time in to do these lives like you should. But today's news and how it went down was, you know, I just felt that I might as well go ahead, because you want to try to make each live perfect. That's really why, you know, what I'm trying to do on here is just make this, you know, you're never going to get it as perfect. And when you look back at it, you say, gee, I could have done something a little bit differently. But still, I'm glad this happened because now we can bring everything full circle. And we're just going to focus on Mr. Lemon here. All right. Because there's a whole lot that we can go through. But as far as Mr. Lemon and to Mr. Carson, all I got to say is, you're fired. That's it. And I know I'm going to get flagged for that. This is, basically YouTube, or this is what YouTube does. But let me get a couple of shout outs. The few in the building and those in the clouds. JP Wales, last call. Briefly, we're going to touch on Tucker, and Joy Reid brought up a very, very interesting point. We're going to touch on that. But let me just say a couple of things before we get this thing started. First of all, let me just say this, because I'm gonna give my take on the little happenings that have been going on in that whole sector over there with someone whose personal life has gotten opened up. All right. Let me say this. Shout out and props to breaking the culture of silence. Good for her. All right. And, when being in this space on social media, on YouTube, I've learned to be a bit conservative with praise or with shout outs, because the clout that people chase and the internet fame that people chase is so, people are so thirsty for it, that they will do anything for a little clout. I mean, you'll praise them one day and you'll give them props, and they'll turn around and they'll snake you the next day just so they can get that much more hits, that much more clout. And I learned that with what some people have done in this sector, where you big up somebody, you think you're trying to help them, and they'll just turn around and they'll snake you, because the infamy will give them even a few more clicks and a few more clout. So that's why I'm kind of, hold that close to the vest. But, me and her are cool. And I just want to say that, shout out to her for basically, sticking up for herself, but also reading and coming with facts, all right, about what happened to your favorite therapist. And I will be getting into that and going over a whole lot of stuff, hopefully tomorrow, because I haven't given my whole take on it. But you already know what side I'm leaning on. All right. And I find it very interesting that a lot of these dudes who were all up in the chat with all the fuckery, including when that cocksucker tried to, basically did what he did to me. I'm going to get into all of it. I'm just going to go through all of the shit. But that dude he's got mental issues. He really does. But I'm going to get into all of that later on. But I find it interesting that y'all were in the chats basically spreading lies about everybody, because you couldn't defend a man in Umar Johnson who didn't even take the time out to shout you out while he was going on his rants throughout the years. Didn't even shout, didn't even bring up your names. All right. And some of y'all got the history totally fucked up. Totally fucked up. And I don't have any dog in the fight. But, the fact that before you were all for the fuck shit, and now that your boy is getting opened up, you somehow found religion. All right. It is just comedy to me. It really is. So I'm going to get into that later on. And, not now, but eventually I will. And I'm just going to go through all the history of everything that's really went down. But good job for her. All right. Like I said, you know, good job for her. All right. I think that she's that what she's doing, she's done well. But it is just comedy listening to the quiescence on one side, and you know, and we'll deal with that later on. But everyone in the clouds, like I said, let's just get started. First thing we're gonna do, the first person we're gonna get to, is I want to just get Mr. Carlson out of the way, because there's really not much to say about him. I don't give a shit about either of these dudes. They're both propagandists. I think Tucker Carlson has a much brighter future than Dusty Don, because Tucker Carlson, if you know anything about his history, he came from money. And actually, let me get into that after I play this Joy Reid clip. All right. But good for Joy Reid. And again, I know that she's a Democratic sock puppet herself. I mean, they all have their agendas. I get it. But what she said and what she brought up was so on point. I didn't even think about this, but this is true. And it just goes back when you're talking, whether it's Tucker Carlson, my video when I spoke about Angel Reese, I spoke about this thing regarding Keith Olbermann. But listen to what she says. It's very, very interesting. All right. And fair use, by the way, fair use. Let us get it started.
We have three very special guests as the top-rated primetime host in. We begin tonight with the abrupt and embarrassing end to Tucker Carlson's reign as the top-rated primetime host in cable news. This morning, Fox announced that the two had agreed to part ways and thanked him for his service to the network. That decision apparently came from the very top, Fox Corporation Chairman Rupert Murdoch, according to reporting in the LA Times, whose reporter spoke with people familiar with the situation. The New York Times, meanwhile, is reporting that Tucker was given no heads up that his time at Fox News had drawn to an end, according to two people with knowledge of the timing of the conversation. The anchor was told of the network's decision on Monday morning, they said. In fact, the Wall Street Journal says Carlson only found out he was being let go about 10 minutes before the network announced his departure, according to people familiar with the matter. I could explain why Fox shows this morning were still promoting an interview Tucker had in store for tonight's show. Sources at Fox told the news rundown site Mediaite that the news hit like a bomb inside the network, shocking even staffers close to the ex-primetime host who had no idea this was coming. Many at Fox, sources said, found out about Carlson's ouster when it broke in the news. And here's how Fox viewers learned of the news this morning.
We have some news from within our Fox family. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have mutually agreed to part ways. Tucker's last show
It's the black
was this
woman.
past Friday.
Got it.
And starting tonight, Fox News Tonight will air live at 8 p.m. Eastern. It will be an interim show with rotating Fox News personalities until a new host is named. We want to thank Tucker Carlson for his service to the network as a host, and prior to that, as a long-term contributor.
So, no grand send-off for Tuckums. No final show for him to sign off with his viewers. It's almost hard to believe that just months ago, Tucker wielded so much power, Kevin McCarthy traded him 40,000 hours of exclusive January 6th footage in his hostage deal to become speaker. Yet today, Tucker has officially achieved something that I don't think anyone else in our industry can claim. Being let go by all three major cable news networks. MSNBC, yes, he used to work here.
Yep.
CNN, after Jon Stewart humiliated him live on air. But Tucker has also achieved something else. He arguably has done more on cable television to spread the gospel of hate, fear, and
All right. Turns out, I thought this was MSNBC. It turns out somebody copied this. This is where the sound, that's where the camera sound's coming from. Now I know where it's from. This was actually from another site. This is why you get this.
Paranoia than anyone since radio propagandist Father Coughlin in the Nazi era of the 1930s. Here's just a sample of the content that arguably radicalized millions and millions of Americans.
The left becomes unhinged if you point out that American voters are being replaced by Democratic Party loyalists from other countries. White supremacy, that's the problem. This is a hoax. Just like the Russia hoax, it's a conspiracy theory used to divide the country and keep a hold on power. Here's a funny thing that we noticed the other day. People debate all the time about mass immigration. Our leaders demand that you shut up and accept this. We have a moral obligation to admit the world's poor, they tell us, even if it makes our own country poorer and dirtier and more divided. You may be wondering, how am I, quote, personally responsible for the behavior of a Minneapolis police officer? I've never even been to Minneapolis, you may think to yourself. And why is some politician telling me I'm required to be upset about it? Those are all good questions. So it's not an actual threat of violence from Christians that's inspiring some trans people to buy AR-15s. No, it's got to be more fundamental than that. And it is. The trans movement is the mirror image of Christianity, and therefore its natural enemy.
Along the way, he became the Kremlin's favorite TV show.
It might be worth asking yourself, since it is getting pretty serious, what is this really about? Why do I hate Putin so much? Has Putin ever called me a racist? Has he threatened to get me fired for disagreeing with him? Has he shipped every middle-class job in my town?
Now, this is my first time hearing this, but it's funny. I just found that quote right there funny, where he said, "Why do I hate Putin so much? Has Putin ever called me a racist?" Meanwhile, Muhammad Ali said the exact same thing about the Viet Cong, and they slaughtered him for it. So, this is just him recruiting the loyalist Trumpists. And this is the guy who claimed he hated Trump. It came out that he didn't even like Trump, but he was there pushing out the propaganda. It's really, it kind of mirrors a little bit about what happened in that Umar sector, where people just wanted to say and do anything for clout. But let's continue.
Russia? These are fair questions, and the answer to all of them is no. Vladimir Putin didn't do any of that. So why does permanent Washington hate him so much? If you've been watching the news, you know that Putin is having a border dispute with a nation called Ukraine.
And he peddled that stuff for years, y'all, for years. And he was rewarded for it by his 3 million nightly viewers and by the executives at Fox. So why would Fox drop their leading primetime host now? That is a question that we are still trying to get answers for. So here's what we do know. Fox is still licking its wounds from its massive $787 million settlement with Dominion Voting Systems, which, among other things, revealed Carlson and other hosts' lies and duplicity around Donald Trump and the big lie. There's another big defamation case on the horizon from Smartmatic Voting Systems. That one is demanding even bigger damages. And there's also a lawsuit from former Fox producer Abby Grossberg, who worked on Tucker's show and claims that he presided over a misogynistic, gross, and discriminatory workplace culture. In a legal filing, she alleges that Tucker Carlson created a work environment that subjugated women based on vile sexist stereotypes, typecasted religious minorities, and belittled their traditions, and demonstrated little to no regard for mental health. So pretty much what you saw from him on television. According to the LA Times, Tucker's exit is related to that lawsuit. That is apparently the line that is considered too far for Fox. Not the racism or the on-air misogyny or the anti-immigrant bashing, the white replacement theory, or being a tool for Russia and other authoritarian regimes. Not that. That was all fine. But when the toxic culture within Fox is exposed and it threatens to cost Rupert money, that's when you got to go. Remember, that is what happened with Tucker's predecessor, Bill O'Reilly, who was then Fox's biggest star. He was let go after a series of sexual harassment allegations against him became public, with settlement payouts totaling about $13 million. Joining me now is Tara Setmeyer, senior advisor to the Lincoln Project and former Republican communications director, and Angelo Carusone, president of Media Matters. Angelo, I am going to go to you first because
now we're gonna go now, but basically, but here's the thing, y'all. Tucker Carlson, first of all, I think that he probably tried to get fired on purpose. I know he did talk about running for president. All right. I mean, the word did come out, as I said, that he did not like Trump. He was pushing all this propaganda for, I guess, to generate an audience or to generate voters, I should say. But also understand this, and I mentioned this back when I did the video, Angel Reese video, brought up Keith Olbermann's bitch ass, and I said, and you know, he's obviously on the liberal side, but the fact that Tucker Carlson came from a very wealthy family and he managed to get into a business. This guy is not the most charismatic. He's not the smartest. I mean, I remember him on CNN with the bow tie and everything like that. And for him to be able to get a job at these major networks, getting top dollar, by the way, top dollar, and get fired from CNN, then go to MSNBC, fired from there, both liberal stations. Now he goes to Fox. Switches up his game, switches up his pilot. Well, maybe not, but I guess was more open with his far right thoughts, because sometimes you can hide them and you can get by. Ask Phil Jackson, who seems to be having a coming out party right now of his own, right? So it turns out Scottie Pippen was right, but the fact that this guy, who's a mediocre talent, can get top-notch jobs and shows and primetime hours, and the only reason that he got so many viewers is because of the propaganda he spoke at the time he spoke. A lot of people don't. Some people think that in the Trump presidency, a lot of people caked from doing a whole lot of clout chasing on both sides. If you really sat down and spoke to CNN and MSNBC and the Young Turks and all them guys, they didn't want Trump to leave office. They can say, "Oh, we had to get him." No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You have people on the right who were clearly pushing propaganda, and you had a lot of these goofy maggots who believe anything. They were making money off them, and then there were people on the left, because Trump, let's face it, you don't know what flies out of this dude's mouth. So you made a lot of money criticizing him as well. If you start to open the books and see how much money these leftist platforms, what they made, and progressive platforms, they probably caked off the Trump era. But with Tucker Carlson, he's going to get another job right away. He has a bunch of people, maybe Newsmax, maybe they're going to give him a big contract. Again, this man sucks. He really is not that good. Go look back at his old, look at it. Just type in Tucker Carlson debate, all right, or just type in some of his old reels from CNN. This man was less than mediocre, and he got top-notch jobs. And you're talking, there's no white privilege. So, what's up, drama? How you doing, West Bank? And yeah, but yeah, that's with Tucker, man. I just wanted to get that out there, and again, that when she said that, I'm like, wait a minute, yeah, man. So this man is always going to have a job, and a lot of us who work our asses off, and hey, there's no excuses. I mean, you just got to keep pressing. But consider that when people say, "Oh, well, there's no racism or there's no bias out here." And I know that Tucker, again, he came up from a rich family, but come on, y'all. You black and you following this. I'm thinking Jason Fatlock, of course, with him, but yeah, consider that. So shout out to Joy Reid for saying that. So let's get back to our boy Dusty Don Lemon. All right. Now, as I said, let me just go back to this right here. This is the creator of Dilbert. I think his name is Scott Adams. I think his name is. Again, you read the newspaper. I haven't picked up a newspaper in years. All right. And I'm talking decades. But, you know, when I did, and you go to the comic section, like Dilbert is such a one of those cornball comics. Like, it's like, what's that other one? Doonesbury. It's just one of those things that, I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't appeal to me. You know, it is just the character and everything. I didn't know what the hell it was about. I mean, at the time, I wasn't working in an office like that. So, but even now, I couldn't pick it up and die laughing from it. He never had a black character in there, which is fine. I mean, I don't believe in putting blackface on traditionally white characters or whatever. I think that's dumb. I think we have enough creativity to make our own characters and really prop them up. Shout out to the Boondocks. But I never paid attention to this nonsense. But apparently this guy, I guess he was this liberal white guy who decided to go on a trolling rant, if you can say that. I don't think it was trolling. I think he was just bringing out his, you know, telling the world what he really feels, you know, regarding black people. And he paid for it. He lost a lot of, you know, a few contracts and everything. And maybe this was a way of him getting fired himself because, again, who really reads the newspaper like that? We're in the age of the internet. He can go on, what is that, Rumble, which is just far right heaven, and he can go over there and play over there, I guess. But during this little rant, this racist rant, he brought up Dusty Don Lemon. Because Don Lemon, some years back, this was before Trump became president. I think this was back in 2012, maybe about 10 years ago. Okay. This piece of shit heard a rant from Bill O'Reilly, one of his racist, you know, black people, it's the family and what have you. And keep in mind, this is a time Bill O'Reilly's lecturing black folk while his own family is basically upside down. Sound familiar? All right. He's sitting down lecturing black folks. You are no fathers in the house. There's not, you know, you're not concerned about education. You know, the typical far right wing rant. He was basically dropping Cosby talking points. And, you know, it's y'all wonder why I don't give a fuck about Cosby, but he was basically dropping these what is it? They're conservative talking points towards black people, respectability politics, and it was coming from a white man's mouth. And of course, he got pushback from it because we know it's all bullshit. Again, check out his own family life. All right, go read up on that, and on top of the, you know, what he did at Fox News and the harassment there. You need to shut your fucking mouth. But apparently after he said that and it made big news, Don Lemon, who at the time was doing the weekends on CNN, he caught wind of it. And he found himself agreeing with Bill O'Reilly. Now, before we even get into that, all right? Before we even get into that, let's just read. And this is right after talking about Joy Reid. Let's just go to, give me a second. Oh, by the way, shout out to the Knicks. Knicks are one win away from getting to the second round. But I'll tell you this, though, because the Knicks if they go to the second round, they're playing either Milwaukee or the Heat. All right. And I just figured that, you know what? They can probably handle the Heat. Milwaukee, if they eke out a win, Giannis is hurt. His back is killing him. All right. But turned out tonight, Giannis was in the game and the Heat. And, of course, Jimmy Buckets, I mean, he just stepped up and basically, I mean, let me just see the box score, but Jimmy Buckets was just ball 56 fucking point. God damn. Listen, bro, I don't know why people don't mention him as far as like one of the top 10 in the league. All right. And Philly would have been won a championship if they kept this dude instead of keeping Ben Simmons. But that's a whole other story. But I was thinking, listen, we get past this round, and it's still got one more game to go. But I think the Knicks are gonna take it out. I don't think, like Donovan Mitchell, when you score 11 points, you the star, and you just score 11 points, like, bro, I can't see them beating the Knicks 3 times. So I'm just gonna say they're gonna get to the second round. And I felt, listen, if Milwaukee ekes by the Heat without Giannis, then the Knicks might have a shot. But looking at what Jimmy Buckets is doing right now, bro, I don't know. I will say this: if they meet up again, the Knicks and the Heat, it's not going to be like the '90s where one of those 79-77 games. I mean, nowadays that's like a halftime score. So yeah, that's wild. But yeah, the Knicks are balling. You know what I mean? When you're a Knicks fan, I mean, if you win, you about to win a series, people, it's almost like you win a championship, and we ain't win shit yet. But let me go ahead and read up on get back to Dusty Don Lemon, and basically want to read this article right here. Where was it? Where is it? Here it is. This is from HuffPost. Yes, Starks Ewing, absolutely last call. Shout out to everybody in the clouds. But this was written by the Huffington Post, and bear with me. Okay, this is written from the Huffington Post. This was back in 2016. This was in September, like a couple of months before Trump stepped into office. But Donald Lemon sounds like a sellout again. And this is from September 2016. Let me read. Selling out, the idiomatic pejorative expression, or some derivative of it, has been a part of the vernacular of Black culture since the slave ships first docked on American soil. Simply put, a sellout describes someone who speaks against their own culture, namely the Black culture, to appease more mainstream audience for popularity or monetary gain. As Black consciousness enters into a season of revival due to the Black Lives Matter movement, and let's keep it moving. I already know what I feel about that. And the audacious and unjust actions of police, the sellout has become more prevalent voice. Almost daily, a prominent member of the Black community says something that raises the eyebrows of the socially conscious. Some are obvious throwbacks to the house Negro description provided by Malcolm X, but others seem to be uncharacteristic words coming from someone who appeared to be woke. Let me stop there. Now, keep in mind, during Trump's tenure, and we're talking like as soon as he stepped into office, I mean, shit just got turned up. All right, because like I said, he said all types of crazy shit. But when they say someone who appeared to be woke, and this is back when woke, meant woke before others hijacked that word, but Don Lemon was one of those people. And if you remember during the Trump era, Don Lemon was the guy who, talked against Trump and seemed to be fighting the good fight, blah, 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 whatever, bro. A lot of y'all were fooled by that, but let's continue. Forever the eternal optimist, I can't help but wonder if these acts of coonery, I know you use that word, the Huffington Post, are deliberate or the unfortunate result of some social framing. Recently, CNN actor Don Lemon, all right, let me just go back here. Recently, CNN anchor Don Lemon has come under fire for suggesting Trump deserves credit for releasing a press release from his campaign that finally puts the birther issue to rest by admitting President Obama was born in America. The website Media Matters posted a truncated quote of Don Lemon's words. Lemon responded to the tweet suggesting that he was taken out of context, right? This isn't the first time Don Lemon was accused of selling out. 2013, as I said, well, actually, this is something different. I was about to say Bill O'Reilly, but this is something different. He went on a tirade about certain elements of black culture shortly after George Zimmerman was acquitted for murdering Trayvon Martin. He not only criticizes the black community for sagging pants, actually, this was it. Broken Families, he actually airs clips of Fox News of Bill O'Reilly to further cement his claims. Talk about social framing. While providing Don Lemon with a ton of benefit of doubt, I'm going to assume that he didn't consider the potential fallout for discussing the problems within the black community in front of the diverse CNN audience. See, and let me just stop there. Y'all will say, yeah, we have to, air our dirty laundry. You notice no one else airs their dirty laundry. All right. What, other people don't have dirty laundry? It's just us. Are you serious? We don't run anything. So no matter what, if we do damage to ourselves, I understand that, but then we don't do that damage to other people. I'm just wondering, like, when you say that we're the worst, like, compared to who? Compared to who? If, like, what, this is what I want to know. I mean, as far as airing dirty laundry, no one airs their dirty laundry. Nobody does that. The amount of white men that do mass killings, you don't see them profiling white men. So when you say dirty laundry, I mean, like, we always do. Heck, the Umar sector, it proves that. Not everybody's sucking Umar's nuts. Most people are going at his neck, adding Tariq and Polite, and we're always doing that. It's just not promoted. But let's continue. Damn my phone. Here we go. Lemon, like other celebrities who speak out against the black community, are forgetting a fundamental rule when we're taught in childhood. What happens in my house stays in my house. Shortly after Lemon chastised a black youth on his national show, his words were used against people who look like him by people who don't. There's a faction of America who claims not to see race and believes that our country's inability to enter into a post-racial climate is due to victims of racism refusing to stop talking about racism. So when Don Lemon, Wheezy as well, who said he's never seen racism in his life, and other voices who are not careful with their words, they're essentially arming detractors of social movement towards social justice with powerful speech that undermines our effort. The black voices that speak to millions have a responsibility to ensure their words won't be used against them, and more importantly, against us. So it says, not suggesting that we don't talk about the problem, blah, blah, blah. For instance, pull your pants. We're going to get into all that. Actually, we're going to play the whole video that he did regarding. But the bottom line, Don Lemon, this isn't the first time. Don Lemon has done, is calling a CNN to remove. Oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know that that Jamel, did Jamel Hill call to have Don? Okay. No. This was something else. I thought it was Jamel Hill that was calling on Don Lemon to. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, it's just something else that comes up. But let's continue. Let me go to Don Lemon is out as a longtime CNN host. All right, and yeah, Don Lemon is out of CNN. And shout out to everybody in the clouds. Like I said, Don Lemon is out of CNN. The hosts have been the co-anchor of the CNN's morning show and previously hosted a primetime show. It says, and this is from, hold on a second, y'all. Can I move this? Okay. Said, I'm stunned. And that's another thing, that what he said about this. He said, I'm stunned. After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have the decency to tell me directly. Nobody does that when they're firing you. For the most part, people just, I mean, I don't know how many of y'all have been fired before. Nobody just walks up to you. For a lot of times, They just give you a box and just toss you out. They don't want you. They literally just give you. And some people don't even do that. They're like, we'll mail all your shit to you. And that's just how it is. I mean, you're not people who have much bigger jobs than you. See the difference between you and Tucker. Tucker, for the most part, he and a lot of this stuff, he was clearly doing on his own. Like I said, a lot of this stuff, he never liked Trump. But Don Lemon was literally a corporate bottom feeder. He was a corporate puppet, just basically putting out there whatever people told him. And yeah, when he got into arguments, like I guess this argument he had with this Republican today, right before he fired, he took off his earphones. He didn't listen to what people were telling him. And I guess he was arguing back and forth. They're trying to say that. But yeah, man, I mean, Tucker calls, I'm not Tucker. Don Lemon, I mean, this guy, see the thing with Don Lemon, and Tucker Carlson of all people brought this up and showed what I've been saying about him for years. This dude thinks he literally has the mentality of a old, rich, gay white male. This is what Tucker Don has always been. So it says CNN PR released a statement on Twitter saying Lemon was offered the opportunity to meet with management. Instead, released a statement on Twitter in a memo to CNN staff on Monday, which was obtained by the Hollywood Reporter. CNN CEO Chris Light confirmed that Lemon was exiting the channel and wrote that Don will forever be a part of the CNN family, and we thank him for his contributions over the past 17 years. So Don Lemon, who it wasn't him getting drunk out of his mind and making a fool of himself at the Christmas parties, all right? It wasn't for shading black people. Like, again, he does that to any other group, then he's basically gone. And mind you, when he did that, he was working on the weekend. Not too long after that, he got prime time. All right? So it wasn't any of that. It's because he told a woman who's over 50, all right, who, an Indian woman at that, but like a white Indian, that she's over 50, and that was a little too much for the network. So, but yeah, so we wish him well. Lemon, most likely the co-anchor of Morning alongside with Caitlin Collins and Poppy Harlow, two white women, right? So like, and again, this guy really didn't see himself as like any of us. But let me just get more into detail. I really want to read the actual tweet that this man said, just to show you how out of touch this dude is. And let me check the score of the game. I think Memphis was winning last time I checked. Let's see. Yeah, Memphis is up. Memphis loses this series, man. I mean, that would be an absolute mess. Here it is. Here's what Don Liz full verse. I was informed this morning by my agent that I have been terminated by CNN. I am stunned. After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have the decency to tell me directly. At no time was I ever given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do work I've loved at the network. First of all, they're under new management. So why would they tell you? All right. You see this in sports all the time. When a new GM comes in, it's not going to be the same. They'll probably like let you go in 2 seconds, or a new owner comes in. There was new management. So I don't know what, again, this guy had a false sense of importance. At no time was I ever given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do the work I have loved at the network. It's clear that here's a conspiracy shit, that there are some larger issues at play. With that said, I want to thank my colleagues and the many teams that I've worked with for an incredible run. They are the most talented journalists in the business. I wish them all the best. All right. This man has a very false sense of security. But anyway, with that, right, let's touch on what this man said. And because with me, besides him, basically saying just suspect stuff after the Trayvon Martin killing, obviously, what he said about Trump. How about recently when Charles Barkley came on the platform and Charles Barkley told those lies about black people, which I did a video for a while back about black people are the most homophobic people on the planet. And Don Lemon sitting there agreeing with the shit with Charles. So there's a whole lot, actually, and I should have, hold on, actually, because this said can't go on. Give me a second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. All right. Well, what's up, y'all? And okay. Not this, not this. Let's just get straight Reese. Black Brad. Okay. A history of the dumb things. Don Lemon saying questionable things. All right. Back in 2006, this goes back far, way back, folks. 2006. Don Lemon was on television and he complimented Comedia. No, that was 2000. But again, you know what I think? He thinks that he has a little bit more power than white women. I mean, you think this guy who knows so much about race. Here it is. There was these advertisements get out of the way. There was a video back in 2015. All right. A South Carolina deputy, Ben Fields, student resources officer who dragged a black female student from her desk in October. All right. Some of y'all may remember that. This is a black kid from their desk in October. All right. And the video of the incident, it went viral. Fields was fired. The FBI and the U.S. Department of Government opened a civil rights investigation. And Don Lemon suggested that more information was necessary before passing judgment on Ben Fields. I don't have the video, but you can look for it yourself. Dragged her out of the desk and threw her on the ground. All right. And so that's one of his things. And members of the community said they're tired of Lemon, blah, blah, blah. They put a petition out there. This is when Raven Simone was saying a lot of crazy shit until her baddie ass came out. And it's not because she came out. She's just crazy. She's nutty. Then, wearing baggy pants. We'll get into that in a second. Telling a sexual assault victim there are ways not to perform oral. Good grief. Comparing corporate punishment of children to training dogs. All right. Or asking whether the MP. Okay. So he said all types of crazy shit. Let us get into the video he did after Billow started saying a lot of reckless shit. Let's get right into it. Because one part of that video got me really tight. But put some ones up if you can hear me okay. If the sound is coming through all right. Hold on, let me just look for myself. All right, 1 second. I think I'm Borging here. Am I Borging? All right, I'm not Borging. So let's get right into it. This is Dusty Don Lemon, and this is basically from, this was from this right here. This is, where is that? Okay. This is after Bill O'Reilly said what he said. Let's get into it.
Accountable for what comes out of their mouths. I want to talk to you because we are going to take a break from the headlines to talk about something I've had on my mind for quite some time now. So much so that I felt compelled to bring back our segment where we hold politicians, leaders, and pundits accountable for what comes out of their mouths. It's time now, again, for No Talking Points.
He said politicians, leaders, and others accountable.
It's time now, in my mind, for quite some time now. So much so that I felt compelled to bring back our segment where we hold politicians, leaders, and pundits accountable for what comes out of their mouths.
Politicians, leaders, and
media
pundits.
Wasn't talking about other problems in the case. It got some, many on the political right, wondering why the so-called. It's time now, again, for No Talking Points.
If y'all can hear me okay,
The
let's put
Trayvon
some
Martin
ones
murder
up.
case got just about everybody talking about race, and not just specifically how it related to the case. It got some, many on the political right, wondering why the so-called liberal media wasn't talking about other problems in the black community.
Let's talk about race. Let's talk about black-on-black violence.
The outrage that I have is in the lack of really the national attention to what is an epidemic of crime in the black community.
Guys, let me just say this, all right? Because a lot of y'all get caught up with this. Black on black crime, when people say black on black crime, right? With all the killing they had, first of all, compared to who? If anyone's in the comments section and you hear me, when you say black on black crime, all right, because you've been using the same statistics for years and years and years and years. When you say that, compared to who? But when you use the same statistics and you're complaining about it, and I'm talking to black conservatives, or you have this major conservative bent, if things haven't changed, then what have you really done? Black on black crime, and I'm looking at it in the video because I don't want to get flagged, but this is from Fox News. This is one of David Webb. This is another clown conservative talk show host. He's showing Chicago. This is back in 2012. If Chicago is so bad back then and it's still bad now, what have you really done? Damn, like it's like the same propaganda tactics that they've been using for years. You fall for it. But let's continue.
Committed largely by blacks.
Right.
Why aren't we talking about it? Good question.
That's
Actually,
not a good question.
We talked about it many times on this show and on CNN. It's actually a good deflection, as I've said a number of times to a number of guests here on CNN and also
if
on
it's
the
such
radio.
a deflection, why are you using it?
David, do not do that false equivalent. That is
no, I'm not trying to equivocate, but outrage.
Yeah, but listen, crime happens all the time, and because a crime happens, it does not mean that you should shift the focus from what happened here. Let's stick to this particular point.
Okay, so on this issue then.
Thank you.
All right.
So that's the reason I didn't want to discuss at length crime in the African American community, or how to fix other ills that seem to be plaguing the community in general. But now that the jury has reached its verdict, one that everyone must accept, it's time now for some tough love on the subject.
Now, the verdict, of course, was Zimmerman was let go. And he said, oh, everyone must accept it, right? But that was the verdict that happened. So he was basically telling us before he admonished us, yeah, y'all niggas got to accept this anyway. So let's continue.
Someone on another network got the chance to go first because I couldn't go during the week. I'm only here on the weekend. So listen to this.
Please.
The reason there is so much violence and chaos in the black precincts is the disintegration of the African American family.
He's got a point. In fact, he's got more than a point. Bill?
Go ahead.
Raised without much structure, young black men often reject education and gravitate towards the street culture, drugs, hustling.
Guys, you got to stop. This is back in 2012. And they use this same stuff to shame us. And I mean, this got to stop, bro. Seriously.
Nobody forces them to do that. Again, it is a personal...
Who forced you to abuse your wife and your kids? Who forced you to sexually harass women over the phone, do all sorts of, salacious things on the phone that they didn't want? Who forced you to do that, Bill?
He is right about that, too. But in my estimation, he doesn't go far enough.
Okay.
Because black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing.
5 things. Okay.
Here's number 5. And if this doesn't apply to you, if you're not doing this, then it doesn't apply to you. I'm not talking about you. Here's number 5. Pull up your pants.
Guys.
Some people, a lot of them black.
Okay. Here, a lot. No, that's like anyone who's in hip hop culture.
Here's number 5. And
okay. Guys, he's showing the picture of... This is an excessive of people wearing their pants. These people, most of them are young. Ask yourself as a black person, wherever you're at, all right? Does every black person walk with their pants sagging? Where do you, and if they do, where are you at? Yes, that's a silly ass, that was, even when I was younger, that was a silly style. It was dumb to have the pants all the way down to your ankles. That's a dumb style, bro. And some to be fair, some department stores, they make the pants like that, but it's a dumb ass style. But when you look around, I don't care where you're at. You got to be in the deepest, the worst hood in a certain area to see a group of black men with their pants down. You don't see it in the business world. You don't see it in the schools. You don't see that shit. So why are you basing what the worst of us do and making a blanket statement on worldwide television?
This doesn't apply to you. If you're not doing this, then it doesn't apply to you. I'm not talking about you. Here's number 5. Pull up your pants. Some people, a lot of them black, gave me flack for saying that recently on the Wendy Williams show. If you're sagging, it means, I think it's your self-esteem is sagging, and who you are as a person, it's sagging. Young people need to be taught respect, and there are rules. Sagging pants, whether it's Justin Bieber or no-name Derek around the way, walking around with your ass and your underwear showing is not okay. In fact, it comes from prison when they take away belts from the prisoner so that they can't make a weapon. And then it evolved into which role a prisoner would have during male-on-male prison sex. The one with the really low pants is a submissive one. You get my point? Number 4 now is the N-word.
For our generation, what we did was we took the word and we took the power out of that word.
We took this word and we made it into poetry.
I understand poetic license, but consider this. I hosted a special on the N-word, suggesting that black people stop using it, and that entertainers stop deluding yourselves or themselves and others that you're somehow taking the word back. By promoting the use of that word when it's not germane to the conversation, have you ever considered that you may just be perpetuating the stereotype the masser intended, acting like a nigger?
Now, I brought this up when I was on No Logic's platform when he and, Speakeasy went after me. And I simply said that, it's best to cut down on using that word, if at all. Right? I don't think his thing was, most of them is like, yeah, we're on code. We're code switching. Nah, that's stupid shit. But I don't get on people who use the word from time to time for this reason. All right. Yeah, find some different words in your vocabulary. I agree. There's some people who use the N-word a lot. One of whom who worships. I did a video about him earlier today. All right. So, yeah, cut down on using the word. Here's my issue with this whole N-word controversy. If we get rid of the N-word, will this society stop treating us like one? If we get rid of the N-word, will this society stop treating us like one? Because if all it is just to, and why are other people that concerned? I'm like, just to ask yourself, are they really that concerned about whether we use, what type of language we use? All right. If we get shot or killed or beat up before you hear us open our mouth, I mean, we've seen people in the professional field, they use the word a lot, and we've seen people who are from the hood, they may never use it, only maybe once in a while because of their environment. But that's the question I have with that, whether, you use it or not. And this is a dude who loves Charles Barkley, who just yesterday on TNT made a very off-color, offensive joke with Shaq. When Shaq had the lights turned off, you know how dark Shaq is, and he was making all sorts of off-color black jokes. So there are some things worse than saying the N-word. But again, cut down on using it, but stop acting like, oh, this is something that is really going to push us ahead, because with all this advice you're giving us, it clearly didn't help your ass. Let's continue.
A lot of African Americans took offense to that too. And I wondered if I gave the right advice. I really did. The confirmation came the very next day on my way home when I exited the subway on 125th Street in Harlem.
Bullshit.
This little kid in a school uniform, no older than 7 years old, he was crying his eyes out as he walked down the sidewalk with his mother.
I think this
I'm going to be
cap.
honest here.
This is
She
cap.
turned to him and she said, "I'm sick of you. You act like an old-ass man. Stop all that crying, nigger."
No, she didn't say it like that. I think that whole story is cap. And again, guys, this is how many times do you see that? I saw this. There was this video that I just saw. All right. I don't know how old it is. I don't know if the story behind it is true, but I guess this mother brought her 6 kids back to a Walmart to beat up a manager. 6 kids are like wailing on this chick. I don't know what happened. I don't know if that's the story. If that's the story, that mother and her kids should be just stuck in the pen, in my opinion. But that's one story. I mean, it's not like that isn't something that reflects all of us. All right. When I watched the video, there were some black people trying to break it up. He had some goofball mother who brought her scraggly little kids to go and get turned up on one person. That's a hood rat. How many people do that? But he made this antidote. Now, how is this one antidote? And I'm sure if she's from the hood, she didn't use the hard NR. That's him and his own inner white male coming out. Let's continue.
Is that taking the word back? Think about that. Now, number 3, respect where you live.
This one right here, folks, we are going to get into this. Because this, out of all the rant, this is what really turned my stomach, what this guy said. Let's continue.
Small by not dropping trash, littering in your own communities. I've lived in several predominantly white neighborhoods in my life. I rarely, if ever, witness people littering.
Oh, really?
I live in Harlem now. It's an historically black neighborhood. Every single day I see adults and children dropping their trash on the ground when a garbage can.
This guy's a piece of shit. Harlem is not as black as back in the day, right? Harlem is very, very integrated. This guy is a piece of trash. He is a piece of trash. I am loving the fact that this guy lost his job today. He's a piece of trash. Let's continue.
Is just feet away. Just being honest here. Number 2, finish school.
Hold on. Let's go back. Okay, we're gonna go back now and just listen. He said that we don't pick up our garbage. All right. We're just gonna do a little research on this. I had to research this because I just felt I knew that this right here was just untrue. But let's go through the whole we don't pick up our garbage nonsense. All right. This right here, American cities with the worst littering problem. This was last year. Now, what he's saying here, I think this was back in 2012, 2013. Bitch, this is last year. Let's go through them. The American cities with the worst littering problem, okay? This is number 9 and 10. Now, I want you to pay attention to the numbers on the bottom, all right? This is the 10 most littered city. Number 10 is Chicago. And these are the races of those cities. It is 28% black, 28% Hispanic, 33%, okay, 33% white, and 7% Asian. Number 9 is Phoenix, the most littered city in America. This is just a year ago. All right. It is 43% Hispanic, 41% white, only 7% black. We can move on from there. Now, number 8, obviously New York. The melting pot. New York is a dirty city anyways, bro. As big as the city, there aren't enough garbage cans out there. And as some of you know, during the pandemic, they took away, for some reason, we can catch COVID from the garbage can because people just started getting rid of garbage cans, if you notice. But let's continue. New York, biggest city on the planet. 31% white, obviously. 29% Hispanic. 21% black. Again, we're not, and I know that some people will probably put a spin on this and say, nah, we know niggas are probably, no, because you're a clown and a damn Sambo. But this is going to get better. No, trust me. Trust me, it's going to be better for you. All right? In Milwaukee, most littered city. Okay? Now, Milwaukee, never been to Milwaukee before, but Milwaukee, 38% black, right? It's number 7. So we won something here. 34% white, which is not too far behind, but whatever. The most people in that city are black. And then 20% Hispanic, 4% Asian, and so on. Let's continue. Memphis. Obviously, Memphis is mostly black, all right? 62% black. and 25% white, and so on. Number 5. But see, see, this is where you get fucked up, because when you look at a Memphis, people say, yeah, damn, see, niggas are dirty as hell. But hold on. The one who's beat them in garbage is Portland. Portland, as you can see, is 70% white, 9% Hispanic, 8% Asian, and not even 5.5% black. Explain that one. Since according to him, we don't pick up our garbage. You see? And again, to the people who are with the respectability shit, the stats, they're gonna say, well, that doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, because you said that we're the dirtiest people on the planet. That's basically what you said. Let's continue. Number 4, New Orleans, NOLA. Obviously, NOLA got more black folks there. 58%, 30% white. All right? And like 5% Hispanic, and then Asian, and so on. Then you got Philly. Philly, again, 40% black folk, right? 34% white folks. Okay, so right around the area and whatever. Hispanic, 15%, Asian, 7%. I know that for folks who are cheering for Don, like, yeah, yo, you proving Don's point. Well, no, I'm not. All right, because basically, if we go to the cities like, New York, or like, the other cities where blacks and whites are kind of, like neck and neck with each other, what, are we worst? Even though we're neck and neck and we're second? But let's continue. This is 4 and this is 3. Now, number 2 and number 1. Number 2 and number 1. Y'all ready for 2 and 1? Put some ones up if you're ready for number 2 and number 1. Or anyone who agrees with Don Lemonade. He said that we don't pick up our garbage. Let's go to 2 and number 1, please. What's this right here? Los Angeles, California. Right? Los Angeles, California is the second most dirtiest city in the country. The city where no one picks up their trash, according to Lemonade. Los Angeles is 48% Hispanic, 28% white, 11% Asian, and, wait for it, only 8% black. Now there's San Francisco, which is the dirtiest place in the country. The dirtiest. And, interestingly enough, since we're talking about Don Lemon, one of the gayest. But let's continue. This is the dirtiest, most littered place in the country. The worst littering problem in the country, according to last year's statistics. San Francisco is 40% white, 4% Asian, 15% Hispanic, and not even 6%, 5% black. But according to Don, again, we need to step our game up as far as garbage is concerned. This is that respectability nonsense that you guys keep harping on. But then when you give it some statistics, and this is from City Data, by the way. This is one of the City Data is where you go to and look at before you buy a home, find out who lives in a certain area, how many, the race breakdown, the income breakdown, all of that shit. So let's continue, shall we? But that was a bullshit with this with Don Lemon and we don't take up our guard. That one really bothered me. Well, let's go.
Their trash on the ground when a garbage can is just feet away. Just being honest.
Bullshit.
Number 2, finish school. You want to break the cycle of poverty? Stop telling kids are acting white because they go to school.
No, we don't say that they're acting white. That is a lie. That's a lie. Matter of fact, some of the, believe it or not, a lot of the biggest thugs out there, and I'm not giving them any credit, but a lot of the dudes out there, they've learned how to speak, how to master the language. All right? And I'm not at all giving them credit, but there are most black people finish school. Aren't y'all always bragging about black women, how they finish school more than anybody? What are you talking about, Negro?
Or they speak proper English. A high school dropout makes on average $19,000 a year. A high school graduate makes $28,000 a year. A college graduate makes $51,000 a year. Over the course of a career, a college grad will make nearly $1 million more than a high school graduate. That's a lot of money. And number one, and
no one tells, I mean, my God, but this is the guy who doesn't hang around too many black people. All right. Or black people who just look down on other black people. This is what this guy does.
Probably the most important. Just because you can have a baby, it doesn't mean you should, especially without planning for one or getting married first. More than 72% of children.
These are conservative talking points. All right. Nuclear family. And guys, this is something that kind of came up in that sector, right? About who's married, who isn't, who has the perfect life. That means nothing. If you're both there, if you're both taking care of the kid, I've seen this. All right. A family structure, no matter how it is, or you can have a nuclear family and nobody talks to each other. All right. Just a little bit about me. That was my family. Very Christian, very religious, didn't say shit to each other in the house. It meant nothing. Let's continue.
In the African American community are born out of wedlock. That means absent fathers. And the studies show that lack of a male role model is an express train right to prison. And the cycle continues. So please, black folks, as I said, if this doesn't apply to you, I'm not talking to you. Pay attention to and think about what has been presented in recent history as acceptable behavior. Pay close attention.
Folks, this was right after George Zimmerman was acquitted. This is right after the man got off by the skin of his teeth. All right? And we're still in pain, and this is what this guy is pushing.
To the hip-hop and rap culture that many of you embrace, a culture that glorifies everything I just mentioned, thug and reprehensible behavior, a culture that is making a lot of people rich.
Tell you something.
Just not you.
I'm going to tell you something. And I thought about this the other day because, I'm a hip-hop head. Not all hip-hop is thugging and what have you, but the golden age of hip-hop is the 90s. And the 90s had a lot of gangster rap. But you do know that, and I thought about this, Heavy D went platinum and gold in the 90s. So did De La Soul. So did Tribe Called Quest. Not everybody was thugging it up. Not everybody. And even today, Rhapsody, not everybody is Nicki Minaj. Now she's gonna make less money, I get it, but still, I mean, what are you talking about, bro? So not everybody listens to that on the regular.
And it's not going to. That said, though, the political right is not off the hook.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
If conservatives are so concerned about black on black crime, it's a little concerning. The only time I hear them talking about it is when they want to stick it to the black community.
And that's today's no talking points.
Folks, this is why, all right? It's one of the reasons why I couldn't give a shit. See, and I'm not for people getting fired. I understand it's tough out there, all right? Some people, the job market isn't too great. Some people, I know that when the pandemic hit, because I work in IT, and it was a pretty, the job I was working was pretty good. And then all of a sudden, it just unexpectedly, you got to go home at 3. Okay, go home at 3. Then you got to go home at 12. Then take the day off. And then they just said, the store is closing for I don't know how long. This is during the pandemic. So I know it can get tough out there. And you don't want to see anyone lose their job, but this guy is not in the same class mentally or financially as you. He lives in Quogue in New York. That's out in the Hamptons. Very rich, exclusive area with his boyfriend. All right, not his husband, but or whatever. I don't keep up with that or whatever. His young, white boyfriend. Mainly white people out there, and believe me when I say this dude is way out of touch. All right, he has enough money. He has friends out there. I'm sure. As I said, there's nothing unique about him as a reporter. I don't think he could do what Roland does. Roland. All right, you got to give that dude credit. He's put together a pretty decent platform. Now, again, he's like another sock puppet for Democrats. I get it. And he's always going to run the Democrat line regardless. But you got to respect what he put together. And Don Lemon, I don't think he'll do that. I don't think he can do that. All right? Unless, and this is just my opinion, he maybe goes the really, really far left, like, cater to the alphabet community and what have you. And I do find it very interesting that on these stations, MSNBC, CNN, or whatever, you have to be, in that community. And and we're talking mostly the black host, not so much the white host. It's just a fact. But the fact that him getting fired, a guy who is responsible for pushing tons of propaganda out there, and then for him to do this to come up. But somebody really opened him up, right? And he really kind of put into perspective the kind of dude that Don Lemon is. And by the way, this picture right here speaks volumes of, for folks who think that these guys are fighting the good fight. Nah, these guys are all the broadcasting community. I think it's only like 2 corporations that owns all of them. All right, these guys are all friends. They're all friends and buddies. Look at these people. Michael Avenatti, who's locked up right now, Don Lemon, Sean Hannity, and Gayle King. These guys are all buddy. They make millions of dollars to push propaganda down your throat, and you act like they're fighting, and they love each other, bro. They love each other. But let's listen to what one guy said about Don Lemon. And let me see. Let me find it, folks. And thanks for sticking through. All right. So, and by the way, Don Lemon, I just want to remind you. You're fired! Yeah, man. So let's where are we at? Where is it at? Yes, this right here. Check out what your boy Tucker Carlson, of all people, has to say about your man Don Lemon. Oh, wait.
Mr. Don Lemon is a cable news host on our competitor over at CNN, and most of the time he talks about cable news host type things, what the Royals are up to, how a commercial airliner might have flown into a black hole, the news. But Don Lemon is, most importantly, more than that. Don Lemon's a civil rights leader. And just the other day, he spoke to the Washington Post about his feelings on civil rights, and he declared, you may not be surprised by this, that America is a racist country. Quote, we're living in two different realities as black and white people, said Father Lamont. It was interesting. We read that and we thought, well, here's a guy who makes millions of dollars a year for presiding over a show that is failing. That seems like a pretty good deal. But like so many, Don Lemon is also a victim, a successful victim. And so we asked on the victim scale, on the scale of, say, Meghan Markle to Michelle Obama, just how oppressed is Don Lemon? What is the different reality he is forced to live in as a black man in America? Well, we did a little digging.
What's up,
and
Dr.
here are the
Nikki?
details. Don Lemon lives in a $4.3 million home in Sag Harbor, New York. No, he does not live in Section 8 housing. He lives in one of the whitest towns in America. In fact, 80%, Sag Harbor is just 3% African American.
Yep.
Now, in the interview, Mr. Lamont...
And I've been out there to the Hamptons, and yes, there are hoods in the Hampton, all right? There are hoods in the Hampton, all right? And so as rich as out there is, I'm not saying all black folks live in the hood, but there are poor areas in the Hampton. So just a little tidbit there.
He said, America needs to see more people like him. He regularly lectures America about diversity. What he didn't tell the Washington Post is that in his free time, he runs away from diversity. His reality is that he doesn't like diversity at all. None of them do. But here's the most troubling discovery about Mr. Lamont. Now, you have heard from the White House, from the president himself, that white supremacy is a lurking threat. You might not always see it, but it's always there. Like Russian spies, white supremacists come in the dark of night in the most surprising form. They're shapeshifters. Now, we're not calling anybody a white supremacist here, but you have to ask yourself, I'm going to put this on the screen now, what is this symbol of hate?
Look right behind them, that thing that's circled. You see it right there on his behind the green pepper and the fruits and everything. Look at that
symbol of hate posing as a cookie jar, doing in Don Lemon's kitchen. Do you see that? That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is a white supremacist QAnon cookie jar. Now, we're not calling for the Department of Justice to look more deeply into this because that's not our place. We're a cable news show, not a law enforcement agency. But let's just put it this way. If you find yourself with a blackface cookie jar in your own kitchen, it's time to reflect. That means you, Don Lemon. Hey, Sean Hannity here.
He purposely said his name wrong, but, you know, the cookie jar, he said QAnon. I don't know about that, but everything else he said about this clown is the fact. Everything he said about this clown is a fact. That this dude, I've said it early on in the program, he looks at the world through the lens of a rich, gay, white man. That's Don Lemon. If you think I'm shedding tears for him, and oh, by the way, sir, okay? By the way, when Don Lemon said what he said about that woman, and people were calling for his head. Now, you notice we just went through the video where he actually co-signed what Billow said about black people and what we need to do and all this other bullshit, right? Now, you think that with Don Lemon, because Billow caught a lot of flack for it, as he should have, all right? Because Billow just went on this rant again. That was the time when George Zimmerman got acquitted. So you think that Don Lemon, who after he said what he said to that woman and also treats his other white co-hosts like shit, you think that Billow, who himself got sandbagged, you would think that he would stick up for Don Lemon. Well, let's listen to what Billow has to say about the situation that Don Lemon got in. Let's go, Billow.
Well, I actually would fire him because, you know, you also had the left talking about Me Too. And this seems to kind of fit in that category. Where are all these, you know, feminists?
Let's go back.
Would you fire him if you were the president of CME? Would you kick him right out the door?
That's big.
Well, I actually would fire him because, you also had the left talking about Me Too. And this seems to kind of fit in that category. Where are all these, feminists, crying out to foul from this guy? Silence.
Well, he's getting it. He's getting it from every direction. But you would fire him. You'd show him the door.
Fire him
yeah.
Because I think he's had 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes. How many strikes does it take for this guy to actually function like a normal human being on the air?
So you would fire him for essentially you would fire him for being dumb.
Yeah, probably so.
He's gonna get fired because of low ratings. I don't think CNN's gonna do it because of this, because that opens up a lawsuit and a lot of stuff. But he will. He's not. This time next year, you won't be seeing him. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full.
And Bill O'Reilly, he's basically got his own show. I mean, BillO'Reilly.com, but consider his following. All right, consider his following. And again, when you get, I understand that people have their. You can be Republican, some conservative, but if you're black and you are following Bill O'Reilly of all people, when the fact is this man does not give a fuck about. He thinks if he cares about you as a black person, you're like 10 or 11 down the list. All right. I don't get it. I don't understand. Like I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. I don't get it. Don't tell me, you just listen to what he says. Nah, he's clearly, this dude is racist as fuck. And he's been caught out there so many times with that shit. I don't understand it, folks. But yeah, here he is after Don Lemon basically stuck his neck out for him. And here's Bill O years later saying, well, and Don Lemon also stuck up for Tucker Carlson when somebody ran up on Tucker. I think it was in Oregon or something, because Tucker was pushing out these anti-jab conspiracies. And someone pulled up on him and his kid, and Don Lemon again said, well, I don't think that should happen. That's what Don Lemon did. And I guess he thought he would get a reciprocal treatment because, again, he doesn't see himself as a black person. And now here he is, as I said, only place he can go. Maybe if there's a gay network out there that appeals to that crowd and they're looking for some diversity, that is really the only place. MSNBC, what does he have to offer? What does he have to offer? He's going to sound like everybody else. What other place can he go to? He can't go to the Young Turks. He can't. You tell me where he's going to go except maybe a gay network. And I'm sure there's some out there. I don't know where they are. But I'm sure that if you got all these different networks, far left, far right, conservative, progressive, there's got to be a gay network out there that'll probably take him in because he's black, and he'll try to draw in the progressive gay. I don't know what, but it's not. I would be shocked if it's MSNBC. I'd be shocked. All right, and this dude, I guess he tried to be the main black voice. And you know what? What's the name? Last call. You did mention, yeah. He said was shallow because the one reaches an intellectual peak at 50. Yes, that is correct. That's correct. Thank you, Dr. Nikki, for your expertise. This dude is I told you, this man, the fact that he's getting fired doesn't bother me. And I'll say it again. Tucker Carlson, mediocre as he is, he's got something lined up for him. Joy Reid said he got fired by 3. I forgot he worked at MSNBC. That's how bad this dude was. All 3 of the top major networks this dude got fired from. And he still has, and he'll still be able to get jobs. Don Lemon, not so much. And if Van Jones, who else can be there? I'm like, because they all sound the same. All of them sound the same. Who is really a decent? I'm trying to think of a decent person, like a black person. They're gonna have to find somebody black to fill up the role. Who's that lawyer chick? Oh, you know who is? Can Abby? Yeah, Abby, who's young, good looking chick. Yeah, Abby can probably do it. And there's that other lawyer chick. I forgot her name. Her name isn't coming to me right now. But those are the only two. But I you know who can do it? It's the woman who we just stopped off with Joy Reid. She's even though she's a Republican, she is. What's her name? Let's see her name.
Because I met you.
Hold on.
Senior advisor to the Lincoln Project and former Republican communications director, and Angelo Carusone, president.
Hold on.
Remember, that is after a series of sexual harassment allegations against him became public, with settlement payouts totaling about $13 million.
Okay.
Joining me now is Tara Setmeyer.
Tara Setmeyer. All right. Energetic. She's either got bleached. She's getting bleached right now, and she's got the blonde wig. And I think she might have lost a little bit of weight. Here. Let me just show a picture of this chick. But she's a Republican who was actually giving Trump and all the trumpets that work back in 2016, if you remember. She was just going in. All right. But she might. I mean, we'll see. I mean, the fact that I didn't even know she was on MSNBC. But Van Jones, he's too weak, in my opinion. He really is. And I can't take another cry fest from that dude. You know what? He's a politician. I can't even say. You know who would? Who's the light-skinned chick? The light-skinned chick who used to date Common, right? I forgot her name. Angela something. Angela Rye. Maybe. Only maybe she could if they toned her down. Or you know who else could? That other actor. I forgot her name, but there's a few people who could. That are smart enough that can probably do it, but they probably get Angela Rye. Rather look at her all day than look at Don Lemon's bitch ass. But yeah, man, they're gonna have to get Houston. I don't think not her. Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm saying, Dr. Nikki. Recycle trash. Tavis, man, I mean, honestly, I'm gonna keep it a buck. If they called Roland would go running back. Let's just keep it a buck. If they called Roland, I think Roland would drop everything and come back. I really do. Because I can't think of anybody that they could bring there. Don Lemon was a staple there. They're going in a new direction. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's just garbage, to be honest with you. But yeah, fuck Don Lemon. Like I said, I'm glad he got fired. And I'm glad he was so hurt by it, because this guy actually, he thinks that he's different than other blacks. And we'll see who they bring on later on, man. But I think I pretty much covered everything I need to cover with this. But yeah, I again, they started calling Roland. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I think he would come back. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. But yeah, man, it's 1:00. I think we did pretty good time here. And yeah, the moral of the story, fuck Don. Fuck him and fuck everything he stands for. And he deserved to get knocked off like he did. And a guy like that at his age, he's not gonna learn. So but yeah, man, just as you're leaving out, obviously hit that like button. Okay. Hit the share button as well. Especially if you got a platform, hit the share button as well. Put it in your community section, and hit subscribe. All right, and if you want to, hit the Cash App. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, that's basically it, man. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. I just find it is kind of strange that Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon. And I said, these guys, as far as these hosts and everything and the companies, you see this picture, they're pretty close. All these people are pretty close. So people know what's going on. So, yeah, man, that's basically all I had to say, man. And thanks for coming through, everybody. All right. Dr. Nikki, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that girl, I know who you're talking about, but she just doesn't have, I don't think she can draw an audience like that by herself. They got a black attorney on there. What is her name? She's a black attorney. The Lakers may win in overtime. The Lakers almost got this in overtime. I forgot her name. It's a sister, female sister. What's her name? I almost got her name. Hold on a second. Good looking sister too. But yeah, they got a couple other people. It's just that I think, again, Abby, in my opinion, is probably, she's probably the best one because I think that, you know what, Abby Winters, I think her name is, black sister. I think that she'll probably do it. Let me see this legal analyst. This may be her. Hold on. Nah. But Abby right now is who I'm looking at, who I think will be the perfect person. If you look, yeah, here she is, Laura Coates. Laura Coates, she's the attorney. But I think Abby Winters, the black sister, she's the one. She's the one who I think should will be the one to take. So we'll see. We'll see, man. Or maybe more. I don't know. Those are the only people I can think of, y'all. But listen, I'm out of here. You know, I got work tomorrow. Thanks for coming through. All right. And you know what time it is, man. Big up on yourself. And yeah, until next time. And as I said, I do have my commentary on what happened to that goofy therapist. And there's a lot. So I will try to get that in this week. But until next time, peace.